Hi, it's Mel Dennis here from Domain & Co for our professional property series. I'm sitting here with Mike Mortlock from MCG Quantity Surveyors. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We thought we'd just run over today depreciation schedules, why you would get one and when you would get one.
Yep, and why you should stay away. Why you should get one is because it's going to put money back in your pocket. So when we look at the first step of getting a depreciation schedule done, we assess the feasibility. So if it's not going to be a worthwhile exercise, we won't do it.
What's a worthwhile exercise? What sort of planning are you talking about?
That's a really good question. Normally in the industry we sort of talk about doubling our fee worth of deductions in the first full year of claim. So if we're getting say $1,200 worth of deductions in the first full year, that might be $400 back in your pocket. Could be a $600 or $700 report, so that report's tax deductible as well, so it's about that sort of sweet spot. Of course that's just 1 year, but if you've got a back claim that adds to that deduction and the report goes for 40 years, so that's about the point where we say worthwhile.
So if you've owned your property for say 5 years, you can back claim that depreciation if you haven't obviously made any claims already on it.
You can back claim up to 2 financial years. So we've recently got a story based on a data release where we ran some calculations on our property investors, and we found that on average there was 6.7% of our sample size had actually missed some deductions, so further back than 2 financial years. So that sort of leads to your other question of timing. The best time to get it is probably straight away, to make sure you aren't one of those statistics, because of those 6.7% of people that actually lost deductions, the average figure was 20 grand worth of deductions, which is a big chunk of cash.
And I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, I don't need it until tax time, but that's your busiest time of year, I'd assume. So don't leave it till tax time. Get it done when you think about it or when you've been recommended to get it done.
Tax time's our Super Bowl, that's for sure, and we've got the resources to make sure that we pick up any of those sort of stragglers that really desperately do need it done, so we can do it. But I think it's important to take it as a bit of a snapshot from the beginning, and then of course if you're making any improvements we can include those in the schedule. So I'd rather make sure people get it done and don't forget than wait till they get to the point where they're going to their accountant, because I'd hate for them to be part of that statistic where they're losing out.
Yeah, an accountant can make it up, but at the end of the day they're just making it up. They've never been to the property to actually know what sort of equipment it is to depreciate, let alone what's there to depreciate. A lot of people don't know that if you're in a common property and you've got electronic doors that everybody uses, you've got part of that ability to claim part of that door.
Yeah, and if you think about an electronic door, you've got the door closer, you've got the proximity reader, you've got the swipe card. They're all actually 3 separate plant and equipment items that you'll have an ownership share over. So yeah, units with big common areas, there's a big long list of assets that you actually can claim on, and you own that small share of that. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Now there were some changes back in
May 2017.
Yes.
Yeah.
How have they affected investors, and where does that then put, like, I can't do a depreciation schedule because there's no point for me?
Yeah, so the change was announced on the 9th of May 2017, and it basically said anyone that enters into a contract on a residential property from that date onward needs to either be buying a brand new property or installing plant and equipment assets themselves to claim the plant and equipment. So that's a really sort of terrible description of the change, but to break it down a little bit, there's 2 main buckets of depreciation. There's the structure and then there's the plant and equipment. So nothing changed to the structure, but the plant and equipment items are things like your carpets, your blinds, your hot water system, your kitchen appliances. You can only claim those if you're buying a brand new property from now on, or from May 2017 onwards. So even if you're buying a 1-year-old property, there's no plant and equipment deductions there. So that made a big change to the overall deductions. 39% of the work that we do is on brand new property, so in a way it's unaffected, but if you do decide to move in, you'll kill it from that point onward. But the important thing to note is that yes, there are certainly circumstances now where we turn people away where we didn't before. In our analysis of 1,000 residential reports, that figure came to 18% of people in that sample. We would actually advise that it's not worthwhile getting that report done. So still the vast majority of property, it's worthwhile getting a schedule,
How many properties do you think don't have it done, and how much money is lost in that claim that's potentially possible?
It's a really, really tricky one, because the ATO will publish figures each year saying the total amount of capital allowance claimed each year, the total amount of of plant and equipment, and some quantity surveyors have said, we'll add that up, we'll compare that to our average, and that shows you that there's a big gap. But not all those people are getting the depreciation schedule from year one. Like some of these people are claiming year 6 and 7. So no one really knows. But I mean, if you look at the stats of the people that are missing out on the deductions, we are still getting real estate agents and accountants advising people not to get a schedule because it's not worthwhile, because it was built in the 70s or what have you.
When really they're not equipped to know that.
No, well, they're not asking the right questions. Because one particular example, the client sort of sheepishly rang up, feeling a bit naughty because they were going against the advice of their accountant. It's not worthwhile, but they sort of said, I've got a sneaking suspicion that it's worth asking. And there's a $200,000 reno on the property prior to their purchase. Wow. Okay. So if you think about that, that's $5,000 worth of deductions year on year. And the tricky thing is that you then need to send that depreciation schedule to the accountant, to their tax return. You sort of feel like saying, just easy on that.
To change accountants, maybe.
Well, I mean, I suppose they've got it coming to them. If they're missing that amount of deduction for their client, then they're not doing the right job for them.
Yeah, terrific. Some key things that I've just taken out of that is, looking at what is a depreciation item and what is a repair item. So we can have a giveaway if you pop your details into the link below. We'll be able to email that through for you, and some information around depreciation schedules as well. So if you're looking for a depreciation schedule or want some more information, as I said, pop your information in the details below and we'll send you an email straight away with all the details. Thanks for joining us, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.